He stuck his finger in the end of your what?
Howdy, everyone. Pull up a chair, kick up your boots, and take a sip on a nice cold saspa.
Sarsaparilla. What? Well, I would write it down, but I don't figure you could read it. Sody pop.
It's Support Your Local Podcast, the show where we take a look at the 1969 Western comedy classic, Support Your Local Sheriff, one chapter at a time. I'm your host, Robert Smith, coming to you from beautiful Tombstone. Yes, that one. Today we meet our end. We are looking at Chapter 16, End Credits. We start our final chapter, appropriately named End Credits, with Jack Elam all alone on the screen. He crosses from the middle of the street over to the hitch rack in front of the sheriff's office. And if you look closely, there's a gap between the sheriff's office and the building to the left of it. And through that gap, there's a fence in the background just behind the building sets for the movie. Again, this is shot at the Iverson Ranch location. And just before Jack Elam passes in front of that gap, you can see the top of a bus passing by on the street behind the fence. So obviously things are growing in Callender, Colorado. Already they have a bus route even before the bus was invented. So just keep a keen eye out on that one. So Jack Elam, Jake, he gives us a breakdown of what exactly happens from here. So Jason and Prudy are married. This doesn't disprove my Latigo Smith theory, because in theory, Latigo got married to her as well. But my theory is he quickly skipped town and got out of there as quick as he can. Well, as soon as he had enough time to have several daughters, as you'll find out. Spoiler alert. He does become the governor of the state of Colorado, which I found interesting. So he was not willing to be a part of the delegation. If you go through the history books, you'll find that the first delegation that was sent to try to get Colorado statehood was actually denied. So I wonder if Jason changing his mind and going towards with the second delegation is what helped kind of put them over the edge. And because he did that, he became governor of the state. As he became governor, you'd think that there would be some pictures or newspapers or such floating around. And I wonder if the people that he left behind from Support Your Local Gunfighter started putting the pieces together. And that's the intended sequel that we may have never gotten, was the conspiracy of Latigo Smith and Jason being the same person and them trying to bring down the corrupt governor. Better movie in my mind, but alas. They never do get to go to Australia, much to Jason's chagrin, which is unfortunate because he was a pioneer in wanting to find the gold. He did find fame and fortune elsewhere, so perhaps once he had that satiated by being married to the richest person in the state, essentially, if maybe that kind of killed his gold lust and his want for adventure and money now that he was a little bit more settled. Jake becomes the sheriff of the town, which is natural as he was the deputy to the sheriff. Once the sheriff would move on to bigger, better things, you would think that Jake would be a natural fit for taking over, which is a nice little character arc from where he came from. You would think that a movie could be made from his perspective of being a down and out drunkard that just brawls in the streets and holds horses at Matamore's house, on to becoming the sheriff of the town. He also becomes one of the most beloved characters in Western folklore. And I get a chuckle every time I hear this because, let's face it, Jack Elam is one of the most beloved characters in Western folklore, whether he was the big heavy, which he played often because of his demeanor and his look, or if he's part of this series of movies, Support Your Local Sheriff and Support Your Local Gunfighter. he does become very beloved and very well known for those roles. So it is a bit of foreshadowing that he goes on to bigger, better things in regards to Western folklore. And it's foreshadowed with his character here in this movie. As Jake finds his best side to profile, we freeze frame and get the screens of credits. And I must admit, it is so funny to watch credits nowadays for movies that were shot so far back in time. The entire credit sequence is only 50 seconds. And that is way less time than it takes to list just the special effects people from a movie today. Let's face it, we sit at the end of a Marvel movie and there's 5, 7 minutes of credits, not including the two Stinger scenes, so just the people that are responsible for making the movie. And here, a lot of the credits were front loaded, but it's just weird to see so few credits for a sequence. I think it's only 2 or 3 screens. We fade away to the MGM lion roar, and then we are done. That's it. That's our movie, folks. I want to take a second to let you know that I love you all for taking this journey with me. I hope that you got some enjoyment out of it. I know that I did. I look forward to this bit of time every week with you. If you did get some enjoyment, if so, I really think you're going to enjoy where we're going. For those that aren't in the loop, maybe you decided to check out my final episode before you listen to any other ones. Season 2, and there will be a season 2, is going to be a chapter by chapter breakdown of Sam Raimi's The Quick and the Dead. The one with Sharon Stone, Leonardo DiCaprio, Russell Crowe, Gene Hackman. Not the Sam Elliott one. I know that there's a movie out there based on a Louis L'Amour book of the same name. It's not that. It's the Sam Raimi one. And this very same feed that you're listening to this on, this is where you will be able to find The Quick and the Pod, name of this one, or name of the upcoming one. And it is coming soon. I've already started recording a little bit. So hopefully we'll be able to start rolling out those episodes very, very quick. I am going to take a small break from you hearing this just to recoup and regroup and get ready for a bigger, better season for season 2. If you're already subscribed to this feed, there's absolutely nothing extra you need to do. Just continue to be subscribed, and those episodes will pop into this podcatcher just like the ones for this movie have. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. While you're there, something that is 100% free but does huge things for me in the podcast is rating and reviewing us on that podcatcher. I ask you humbly for 5-star reviews. If there's anything that you don't like about the podcast, I completely get it. Please send that feedback to me in an email or a message, but still give that 5-star review, because what that does is that makes the podcast go up in the rankings and it gets more visible to more people, so we can grow into bigger, better things, and I can do more with the podcast. So I appreciate that in advance for taking just a few moments of your time and rating and reviewing this podcast. Keep an eye on our social media. That is Support Your Local Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. That's where you're going to get all the latest news in regards to the show, any appearances I may be having. Everything you'll ever need is going to be on my social media for the podcast. As you are hearing this episode, I am frantically putting together the episodes for our review of The Quick and the Dead. I'm super excited because it's not just because it's a great movie. Anybody that's seen it knows that it's a Sam Raimi movie for sure, but it is also a great movie with an outrageous cast. There are just so many names in this movie. But also super excited because we're going to have a slew of guest hosts this year. So super excited, for those of you that had to sit here and listen to just my monotone for 16 episodes, I apologize. I'm going to break up that monotony. I'm going to bring in some friends, some family, and some of your favorite Movies by Minutes hosts are going to be on this season with the Quick and the Dead. So definitely keep a listen out for that. We're going to get that out to you as soon as we possibly can. But until then, my friends, I am, as I start to tear up, forever grateful for your time. And please always remember, support your local podcast. Dad, we did it.